I'm happy it's over. I'm happy we can move on and get back to writing songs. And yeah, it just makes, all of it makes me sad, all of it.
Johnny, personal strain the last few years fighting this through?
Yeah, an extraordinary strain, and I think it seems to be the case across the board and on all sides. This is really not a fun process, and it's not why we got into this. It's not why we got into making music. So while there's relief, there's also it's going to need time to integrate what went on.
You've got some sympathy for Sami Chokri in this too. That you've all been through this together. Is that right?
Yeah, I think lawsuits are like not fun for anyone involved, and yeah, I think across all sides, like it was not a nice experience, and I don't think that anyone would contest that. It wasn't pleasant.
And long, I mean, years of having this hanging over you. Is it something that impacts mental health, do you think?
Absolutely, undoubtedly. It was a 4-year process that kind of compressed towards the end. So in the last year, it got really heavy and it was consuming. And the cost to our mental health and creativity was really tangible. What
do you think was at stake for you as a writer in bringing this case?
Well, one of the most important parts of the songwriting process for us is that there's a sacred space, one we can trust. And we need to be able to lean into that space and make music freely and honorably, but to do it in a way where we can express ourselves from the heart without having to constantly check to match a system. And that doesn't mean that we aren't as diligent as we can be about making sure that if we reference or copy something, then it's cleared entirely. It's a really important tenet of what we do. But I think what was at stake for us really was this space, and it seemed that a lot of songwriters everywhere were with us alongside us, because they often would send us messages and say, it feels like we're up there with you.
Well, exactly. So you had that sense of a bigger principle being at stake, but also any lawyer will tell you when you go to court, well, we might not win. There's jeopardy as well, isn't there? And I guess that was hanging over you at some points in this. You might have wondered, have we done the right thing or not?
Yeah, before we got into it, like way before, when actually we decided to take it to court, we were all told, like, this isn't just you go to court and you say your bit, and it's like stuff will be out in the press. There will be all sorts of things said about you, all sorts of things brought up. They will go through all your messages, all your voice notes, everything. Be prepared for this, and we felt that was what we wanted to do to clear our name, and we did it. And as I said, it's not a pleasant experience, but if I could go back, I would do exactly the same thing.
To what extent do you think this is an intensifying problem because of the way music is now distributed, the way it's streamed, the way people listen to it, the numbers of songs that are being put out there in the public space?
Well, it's mathematically intensifying because of the numbers. As Ed said in his statement, there's millions and millions of songs being put into the world every year now, and there are only so many notes. And if the idea that we can access something, therefore it's more than likely that we heard it, persists, then it doesn't really speak to a fair way of how music gets to people. Just because something is possible doesn't mean it's likely. And I think that's a really important part of all of this. There are millions and millions and millions of combinations of notes out there. Coincidences happen. So the more numbers we have, the more coincidences will happen. So in that way, it is intensifying.
Is this, in a sense, about the scale of what you do, the degree of success you've had? Because have you ever had something that's cropped up in that sort of regard? That is it purely about saying, okay, this one is a monster hit, Shape of You, and therefore it's much more likely to come under dispute?
Yeah, I would say that, yeah. And I would say that I think very, very early on in my career, me and Johnny had a song called Photograph, and there was a claim made on that, and we were basically advised to settle that because I was on tour, lots of other things going on, and it was basically, you haven't got one time to do this, and also there's a culture around this that you probably would lose. So we settled that, and I think from there, much like with the blurred lines case, the floodgates open, and they go, well, if you did that, then, and I think that has added into this basically.
Do you regret settling there, or do you think that was then and this is now? And
Personally, yes, and but not from a. It's not from a financial point of view. It's from a like actual heart. Like I didn't play photograph for ages after that. I just stopped playing it. I felt weird about it. It kind of made me feel dirty, and we've now got to a point where we actually own all of the song again. We've managed to get all of our bits back, and again, not from a financial point of view, just to feel like it was our song again. So yeah, I'd say you probably agree with that as well, right?
Yeah. I think at the time we took the best advice we could get, and it was new. We'd never been in that situation before, and we were kind of bamboozled by the culture and what was going on. So we had to make a decision on it, and we made a choice at the time that we can't change. But yes, like I'd certainly feel some regret around it.
I mean, is it going to be? You've got to record your sessions when you're making music?
We do. I do that since. What's mad, and this is actually, so I started doing it from photograph, started filming every single session for my stuff. So I would film every single session for...
As a record?
For my album, yeah, because I'd be like, I don't want to have this situation happen again. So now I just film everything. Everything's on film, and we've had sort of claims come through on songs, and we go, well, here's the footage, and you watch, and you'll see that there's nothing there.
But the making of that song, if tell me if I'm wrong, but it was like an hour and a half, is that right? It was a relatively short period of one day.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what the case boiled down to with this is not people not believing that I could write a song in an hour and a half. But what I wanted to say is, like, I work every day at my craft, every day, to be able to do a song in an hour and a half. And we write multiple songs. We actually bookended the case with 2 studio sessions with me, Johnny and Steve, where we just wrote as many songs as possible. And the first day we did 5, and the last day we did 3. And those are not uncommon day for us. It would actually be a weird day if we just wrote 1. Like that would be an odd day. And I think, you said you've worked at Newsnight for 30 years, and you contacted us about the interview yesterday, and you were ready today for it. That's because you are a journalist who has put in a lot of time into your craft. And I'm not going to say, well, I don't believe you. You must have known about this for months and months and months. I just believe that because you put time into your craft, that obviously you're going to be good at it. And the song did take an hour and a half. I don't know what anyone else wants me to say on that. It did. Mm-hmm. Lots of songs take an hour and a half. A-Team took half an hour. Photograph probably took half an hour. Yeah. Bad Habits probably took an hour. Like we do this every single day. Therefore, we are quick at it.
So, does this in any way change the way you work going forward, or are you just hopeful that you can push on through?
I mean, there's the George Harrison quote where he says he's scared to touch the piano because he might be touching someone else's note, and there's definitely a feeling of that in the studio sometimes. I personally think the best feeling in the world, the best feeling is the euphoria around the first idea of writing a great song, like the first spark where you go, oh, this is special, we can't spoil this is amazing. But that feeling has now turned into, oh wait, let's stand back for a minute. What, like, have we touched anything? And it does, you find yourself in the moment second guessing yourself.
There's obvious holes in the system at the moment. If I can go to a musicologist and get a report, and then take that report to a society, and then they freeze someone's income based on that, that's a problem. It creates a culture where it can be used as a threat. And I think that is where we have to be having conversations with societies, with managers, with artists, songwriters, and say, this isn't okay for anybody.
How do you react now if someone basically lifts one of your melodies or one of your lyrics? I mean, would you go after them, or is
Dude, the amount of times that it's the amount of times that it's happened, and it is just, I don't want anything to do with it. Just do you. I don't care.
And this is not in any way to say that it's okay to do that, but I certainly hear motifs and melody structures and lyrical ideas that I think, if not are born from something we've done, are influenced by it. It's flattering, or it's I feel like I'm part of a culture. I'm part of something bigger. And we're lucky, we can We get to write songs every single day. That's what we do. That's our life. I wouldn't want to waste my life or time or energy chasing that down. And it's not an invitation to do it.
It's never about, the conversation around all of this is always about money. It's not about money. It's not about money. This is about heart and honesty. It's not
integrity.
Yeah, it's not about like win or lose. We had to go to court. You know, we had to stand up for what we thought was right.
And it's not that we're standing against someone. We're standing up for what we believe is right. And there's a difference. I think we feel really grateful that the system in this instance offered us a chance to be heard, and it offered the other side a chance to be heard, because we believe that that's necessary moving forward. Everybody deserves to have a voice, everybody deserves to be heard in this.
Do you essentially hope now to sort of enjoy the freedom to crack on with creating songs and making music and leave this behind?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do. I mean, that's what we love doing. We love writing songs. Like, every day in court was a day not being able to write songs. And we do write songs every day. I play shows as much as I can. You know, every day is a day that you can't do that. And so we're definitely happy to be back creating songs.